In a quiet little village, cradled by mountains and fields, there lived an old woman who was loved by everyone. She wasn't rich or famous, but she carried a special warmth within her, a gentle smile that felt like sunshine after a storm. Whether the day was bright or dark, she always seemed to be at peace. The villagers often wondered how she maintained such tranquility when life was always changing. Every day, people from the village would come to sit beside her tiny wooden house. They brought their problems, their fears, and the worries that weighed heavily on their hearts. The old woman spoke very little, but her words were like a soothing balm, touching their souls without even trying. One afternoon, as the sky turned a golden hue, a young woman came to visit. She looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying. She sat beside the old woman and whispered, "Grandmother, how are you always so happy? No matter what happens, you never seem broken. Don't you ever feel sad? Don't you ever lose hope?" The old woman didn't answer right away. Instead, she poured a warm cup of tea for the young woman. Then, with a soft smile, she said, "My dear, happiness doesn't come from what happens around us. It comes from what we carry inside." The young woman frowned, confused. "I don't understand," she said. "When bad things happen, how can anyone stay happy?" The old woman gestured toward a small oil lamp by her bed, its tiny flame dancing gently in the breeze. "Let me tell you something," she said. "When I was young, I had a husband and children. We were poor, but our home was filled with laughter. We didn't have fancy things, but we had love, and that was enough." She paused, her eyes filled with a distant memory. "One day, my husband fell sick. We tried everything we could, but we had no money for proper treatment. His health worsened with each passing day. And then one morning, he left this world." The young woman held her breath. The old woman continued, "I thought my heart would break. I cried for days, until I had no strength left. Everything felt dark. The world felt empty. I felt like I couldn't breathe." She closed her eyes for a moment, but one night, as I sat alone, I heard my children sleeping, and I realized something. Crying wouldn't bring him back. And my children, they still needed me. They needed my love, my courage, my strength. If I broke down completely, who would stand for them? So, I wiped my tears and decided to live again. Not because life was easy, but because life was still worth living. The young woman listened quietly, hanging on every word. The old woman smiled and touched the small lamp beside her. Every morning after that day, I lit this flame, and I told myself, this is a new day. Find one reason to smile. Sometimes the reason was smaller birds singing, the smell of rain, a neighbor waving at me. But slowly, one small reason every day became 1,000 reasons over time. The young woman asked softly, "But what if something truly bad happens again? How can anyone stay peaceful then?" The old woman nodded slowly. "Pain will come, and that's okay. When pain arrives, it's not our job to pretend we are strong. It is our job to feel it, to accept it, and then to rise again." I remind myself that nothing lasts forever, not happiness and not sadness. Everything changes. So when life gives me storms, I remind myself that the sun always returns. She took a deep breath and continued, "Happiness is not what the world gives you. Happiness is what you choose, even on the hardest days." The young woman looked at the lamp again. The flame flickered gently, but it did not go out. And for the first time in many days, her heart felt lighter. She whispered, "Thank you. I think I understand." That night, the young woman returned home. Her room was dark, but she remembered the old woman's words. She found a small oil lamp, placed it on her table, and lit it slowly. As the flame rose, she whispered to herself, "This is a new day. I will find one reason to smile." At first, the reasons were tiny: the cold breeze in the morning, the sound of children laughing outside, the smell of warm bread from the bakery. But with each passing day, something inside her began to change. Her heart, once heavy, became lighter. Her fears, once loud, grew softer. And even when life felt difficult, she would look at her lamp and remember the old woman's words. The villagers noticed the change. They saw her smile returning, her peace growing. her strength shining through. And slowly, people began coming to her, asking the same question she had once asked the old woman. How do you stay so calm? How do you stay so happy? And she would smile the same gentle smile the old woman had given her and say, happiness does not come from the world around us. It begins inside our hearts. And so, the flame that began with one old woman passed into the heart of a young woman, and then into many others. Because of one small flame, the whole village learns something beautiful, that peace is not something we find outside. It is something we create within ourselves. One new day at a time, one small reason to smile, and one unbroken flame of hope. Long after the old woman was gone, her lamp still burned, not in her house, but in the hearts of everyone who had learned what she always knew, that no matter how dark the world becomes, the light inside us can always be lit again. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more. Remember, your light is worth sharing.